Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm Kimberly Duque. I'm the first reporter of the Chapter 3. We are now on the perceiving ourselves and others in organizations. So I will be discuss about what influence our self-perception and about theories of learning and also the factors of perception. So, in the first slide, how we perceive ourselves manifests and how we present ourselves to others. So, each of us, whether we realize it or not, has a self image. We see ourselves in some way like we are smart, slow, kindly, well intentioned, misunderstood, meticulous, or any other adjectives rather, that describes ourselves. So our perception to others affects how we communicate. So we will be discuss again the meaning of perception. In this slide, the example given is the firefighters. Mostly our perception in this work field is only for men. Like for example, yung mga soldiers, pilot, or etc. So in this example, the Camp Pulley involved a 6-day intensive firefighter course for teenage girls and build confidence. So after which, dito nagkakaroon ng self-changing. And ito yung perception na yung mga firefighters is only for applicable for men. So dito nagkaroon ng changing self na yung mga firefighters is pwede ring mga babae. So self-concept defined as an individual's self-beliefs and self-evaluation. So it refers to the overall idea of who a person thinks he or she is. So like for example, dito sa first feature, ito yung lalaki na nakikita niya yung sarili niya as achiever. As a achiever like that. So if I said, tell me who you are, your answer would probably how you see yourself. So that is your self-concept. This is the I behind the face in the mirror, or our inner self. And each person's self-concept is influenced by context, meaning we think differently about ourselves depending on the situation we are in. So in some situations, personal characteristics such as our abilities, personalities will best describe who we are. So we might consider yourself funny, open-minded, driven, or might level yourself as a leader. And for example is you may judge yourself to be more intelligent than your brother or less than athletic than your best friend. And ito yung judgment na ito yung nakikita natin as our self-concept. So if there is a mismatch between how you see yourself, your self-image, and what you'd like to be, then this is likely to affect how much you value yourself. Like for example, you perceive job as an office worker, pero yung ideal selves mo pala is a teacher. So, 'di ba may conflict and there is a possibility na hindi siya mag-fit sa job niya. And an individual's self-concept can be described by 3 characteristics. Or we call it the 3 C's. The complexity, consistency, and clarity. So the first one, we have complexity. It is the people have multiple self-views because the different truths at various times. Like for example, my self-concept is uh, I'm an student. I'm an employee. I'm a student. And also, I'm a friend. I'm a daughter. So, iba-iba yung aking rules. And meron akong different self-concept at saka in different times like that. So dito, the effect on individual behavior or performance is more adaptable in decision making and sa kanyang performance kasi siya, like flexible siya. So the next one, we have consistency. It is similar personality and values across multiple selves. So dito, consistent lang yung kanyang self-concept. Like for example, kung ikaw ay introvert, sa circle of friends mo, is introvert ka rin sa workplace mo. And introvert ka rin sa family mo. So, consistent lang yung iyong self-concept. And the last one is the clarity. It clearly and confidently describe internally consistent and stable across time. So, ito yung combination ng complexity and consistency. So, it influences better performance, vital for leadership roles, career development, less threatened, and conflict. So, yung self-concept yan yung nasa loob, and we will also discuss about the four selves. The four selves of self-concept. So, the first one is the self-enhancement. So, the motivation to maximize the positivity of one's self-views. So, ito yung motivation is to believe, to guide people towards situation in which they believe they will excel. So, ito yung self-enhancement na kung saan ka sa tingin mo, yung mag-excel, diba? Or situation in which they can promote their positive qualities, which will help them increase their self-esteem. So, yung person with high self-enhancement, they are competent, attractive, lucky, ethical, and valued. And the people with positive self-concept outcomes, they are better personal adjustment and mental physical health. So sometimes it is also a bias. Like for example, yung self-enhancement is the finding the most people rate themselves above average. So when asked to rate their abilities and rate others as below average. So dito, yung bias is there is a tendency for individual to take all the credits for their success. Like yung self-enhancement lang yung focus nila as their self-concept. And the next one is the self-verification. So this is motivation to verify, maintain ourselves, and also stabilize our self-concept. So in this theory proposes that people want others to see them as they see themselves. So, for example, if you see yourself as one of the leader, yun din yung makikita yun din dapat yung gusto mong makita ng ibang tao sa'yo. And it is people prefer feedback consistent with their self-concept. So, ito yung sinasabi ng iba about your self-concept. So for example, a person's belief that he or she is intelligent allows the person to predict that others will notice his or her insightfulness. So people want to be known and understood by others according to their firmly held beliefs and feelings about themselves. So what we also call this abuse. And the next one is the self-evaluation. So under self-evaluation, we have self-esteem. So self-esteem refers to the judgment and evaluation we make about our self-concept. So the first one is the reaction of others. So if people admire us, listen attentively and agree with us, we tend to develop a positive self-image. But if that people will avoid us, neglect us, tell us things about ourselves that we don't want to hear, we develop a negative self-image. So it depends on the reaction or yung reaction of others toward us. So the next one is the comparison with others. If the people we compare ourselves with, like for example, different group, appear to be more successful, happier, richer, better looking than ourselves, we tend to develop a negative self-image. But if they are less successful than us, so our self-image will be positive. So yun yung effect niya, yung comparison with others. And the next one is the social rules. Social rules carrying prestige, doctor, like pilot, TV presenter, and this promotes self-esteem. So other rules like prisoner, mental hospital patient, refuse collector, or unemployed person, ito yung nag-effect din natin if we are better than them or we want to be a better than others. So depende siya sa social rules. And the last one is the identification or our identification. So they become part of our personality, like we identify with the position we copy. Or ito yung rules na gusto nating ma-achieve. Where we, kung saan tayo. So that these factors affects our self-esteem. And the next self-concept is the self-evaluation. Under the self-evaluation also, after ng self-esteem, we have the self-efficacy. So it refers to the judgment of people about their ability to perform a task within a specific concept. So it is believes in one's ability, motivation, role perception, and situation to complete a task successfully. So, like for example, yung boss ko ay sinabihan ako ng words of affirmations na, uy, ang galing naman ito, yung parang ganun. Or, nire-recognize ka niya sa work mo. So, yung effect nito is, the influence is to encouragement, or other is magiging discouragement sa kanila to an individual, and it will affect their ability to perform. Like, kung sinabihan ka ng mga magandang word of affirmation, so yung possibility dito is mas magiging excellent ka sa work mo, or mas magiging focus mo siya, or mas magiging focus ka. Or kung sinabihan ka naman ng mga discouragement, yung ability to perform mo is meron siyang connection, kasi yun yung maa-adapt mo or maiisip maiisip mo, so magkakaroon ka ng discouragement, and maapektuhan nito yung iyong ability to perform a task. And the last one is locus of control. It is general belief about personal control over life events, and higher self-evaluation with internal locus of control. So dito sa example na picture, like yung internal locus of control, ito yung individual na yung thinking is, I get what I deserve, so I make things happen, I can. Pero yung external locus of control, ito yung mga self-concept na palaging more on negative. Like, sinasabi nila na, I can't do it, why me, I never get what I deserve. So, yun yung difference nila. And the last one is about self-concept. We have the social self. So, social identify defining ourselves in terms of groups to which we belong or have an emotional attachment. So, we identify with groups that support self-enhancement. So, yung mga social and family influences, ito yung mga yun, yung culture, the media, as important role in shaping who we think we are and how we feel about ourselves. And although these are powerful socializing forces, they are ways to maintain some control over our self-perception. So, yung example ng social self is you might interact with your family members or friends on social media, have a meeting with a boss or co-workers, and talk to someone you're interested, like that. And all of this and how we feel about ourselves during them make up our social self. So, dito na de-develop yung ating social self kapag nakikipag-communicate tayo sa iba or nakikisama tayo sa iba. And social self refers to how we perceive ourselves in relation to others. It involves relationship building, empathizing, and communicating. So, I have some ways to develop a healthy self-concept. So, yung first nito is look within. So, we can start by looking at our inner selves, our beliefs, and our daily thoughts. If we feel that our real self or who we are is vastly different from our ideal self, then we should invest time and effort to address the difference. And we can make adjustments by setting realistic expectations. And the second is check nonverbal cues. We know that our body and minds are connected. Sometimes what we feel may reflect in our body language. So, however, there are times when we can redirect our self-concept through our physical movements. Like, for example, some of us walk confidently to feel confident about ourselves. So, yun yung example. And the last one is make important choices. Of course, our lifestyle and habits have an impact on our self-concept. Syempre, yung mga ini-intake natin. So, may factor talaga to sa sarili natin. And it determines how we may reach our ideal selves. So, for example, some of us make it a habit to sleep on time and wake up on time to remain productive throughout the day. So, we go now to the next topic about perception. So, perception, the process of receiving information and making sense of the world around us. So, different individuals, we have different thinking styles. Ayan. We also have different beliefs, feelings, or objective. And because of these factors, different people take different meaning for the something. So, iba-iba tayo ng perception sa maraming bagay. We also have similarities, pero yung perception natin is iba-iba. So, a particular thing is right, whereas for some it is totally wrong. So, sa iba, either okay sa kanila yan, pero sa iba is hindi okay yon, like that. So, it is all because how you take things, what is your point of view, or how you look at things. This is perception. And we also have the factors of perception. So the first one is the selective attention. So selective attention is selecting versus ignoring sensory information and affected by object and perceiver characteristic. So for example, selective perception is to choose information that supports our point of view. Like that is why like for example, yung boss is nire-review niya lang yung mga some employees for doing something. Pero yung ibang employees naman na for example, may hindi nagawang tama is hindi niya napapansin. So because selective lang yung ating observation. Like we can't observe everything going on about us. So kaya nagkakaroon lang tayo ng selective perception. And because we see what we want to see, 'di ba? Sometimes hindi natin nakikita yung iba kasi nakapokus lang tayo sa gusto nating makita. And we give conclusion from our perceptions na nagja-judge tayo or nami-misinterpret natin yung ibang bagay. And this selective informations or the selective attention influenced more by an individual's attitudes, interests, and background than by the stimulus itself. The next one is stereotyping. Assigning traits to people based on social category membership. So it is occurs because categorical thinking, innate drive to understand and anticipate others' behavior and enhance our self-concept. So, pag sabi namang stereotyping, it is a generalization about a group of people. So, sometimes when we judge someone, it is based on our perception of a group to which he or she belongs.